this is actually the real face of trading. Everyone posts out, the flashy lifestyle and everything, but no one actually digs deeper to who they are as a person. And name me one good trader that hasn't gone through this exact, road path, has deviated from their trading plan, because we're humans at the end of the day. We make these errors. It's part of them. Now it's on you to, discipline yourself to learn from it and then come back.
People think is that once you have your system, you're like fully in check and you're set for life. But that's like the opposite in my opinion, because I have everything I need. I know my strategy works, but the hardest thing is actually doing it over and over again.
If you're trading because you want to prove something, and that's the reason why you're going to trade, I mean, the market doesn't care, like between your battle and the other guy in the group. So that's not the valid, rational reason to place a trade.
Everybody makes mistakes, but it's the way you realize that you're making mistakes and knowing the fact that you can fix it. So those errors that you're making doesn't mean that you're not a good trader.
Welcome to the fourth episode of the Traders Roundtable Podcast. In today's episode, we dive deeper into trading psychology. So without further ado, let me introduce our guests. On the right side, we have Coen, a familiar guest on the podcast. You were also attending, I think already the second episode of the Traders Roundtable Podcast. So thanks for coming, man. Trading psychology coach, welcome.
Thank you. Bowie Jackson, famous on Instagram, lots of followers. I think recently switched to futures trading.
Yes.
So welcome, man. We already know each other for a pretty long time, actually. So welcome, man. Very excited to have you here.
Thank you, bro.
Max, also familiar guest on the podcast. On the third episode, you were also here, where we talked about technical analysis. So welcome, man.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Maurice, trader at Tribe Capital. Welcome to the podcast. First podcast ever, so it's a debut. Very excited to have you here, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Great, guys. So what I just mentioned is, in today's episode, we dive deeper into trading psychology. We have a trading psychology coach in the middle of us and three very exciting traders with individual and pretty exciting story to tell, especially also on the psychology side. So, guys, I'd like to introduce you first of all. So, Coen, can you briefly introduce you to the guests and what you think trading psychology is in trading?
Well, a nice one. I wasn't prepared for this question. So, name is Coen. I work as a performance coach for traders, background in psychology. Have been doing this for like 1.5 years now, like full-time for traders, only that type of psychology. I think it's really interesting, like, because it's such a mental game, and that's what I really like about it. I think in general the norm isn't really great when we're talking about traders. Like, many people just make a lot of easy mistakes because they don't really understand themselves enough. What was your second question? Like, what is psychology in trading?
What do you think is psychology in trading? What do you see as psychology in trading?
Yeah, for me, it's very broad. Like, everything that helps you perform in trading is for me is psychology. It can be food, it can be sleep, it can also just exactly what is happening during the trading or after the trading. Everything what you do in your life to perform at your best as a trader.
Cool.
Great, man. Thanks. Bowie, for you as well, man. Can you introduce yourself briefly and what you think trading psychology is?
Yeah, first of all, again, thank you for having me. It's my first ever podcast appearance as well, so I appreciate the invitation. So my name is Bowie. I've been trading for a little over 2 years now, and actually funny because my first community I joined was Tribe Capital. Back in the days it was still called something else, but Yip was essentially my first mentor, so I basically just switched from crypto to Forex, and then now this year I've focused on trading futures because I just see a lot of benefits in trading that market. And now where I'm at in my stage in my journey is I'm just I have finalized my system, so I know how to trade. I have my checklist, my trading system, everything is ready. But the psychology is a big roadblock that I need to overcome still because it's making me a lot of mistakes. And I think this is a perfect podcast for this to talk about, right? A lot of errors that can come from psychology. So, yeah.
Great, man. Thanks. And it's pretty interesting, of course, that you say your system is ready. Basically, all systems go.
Yeah.
But the psychology is sometimes a little lacking. So that's definitely something interesting to talk about today.
Yeah.
Max, my man, FCA and AFM regulated. So I assume trading psychology is maybe the biggest part of your trading style. So what's it for you, man?
Yeah, no, 100% agree. For me, it's actually the biggest part. Everything that you do on a professional aspect is all, whether you have coaches in place or people that actually just manage your emotions. Biggest proportion of the management side of a fund and a hedge fund is going to be someone that checks in with their traders. Most important aspect. So I can only agree. So I'm very, very excited to dig into this podcast with you guys.
Thanks, man. Maurice, for you the same, man. Can you introduce yourself briefly and what you consider as trading psychology within trading?
Yes, of course. I'm Maurice. I'm 20 years old, and I'm a student at the Vrije Universiteit van Amsterdam. I'm a health science student, and on the side, but I want to make it my main, I trade at Tribe Capital. Like a similar story like Bowie's, I have my system, I have everything ready, but the psychology just lacks. I make a lot of errors, and I don't know why, and that's why I'm gonna find out here.
Nice.
Interesting, man. Thanks for being here.
No problem. Thank you.
So to immediately dig deeper into that, because I think it triggers a lot for you, Coen. I think you're beginning trader, so lots of room for improvement on the psychology side. How would you approach when somebody like Maurice would come to you and asks for the first steps within trading psychology improvement?
First steps, well, I think when you're starting out, it's important to, of course, have your strategy in check and have some basic knowledge of what you're doing, but dive directly into the psychology and just get to know yourself. The way that you do that is by live trading, not by years on the demo, but by live trading as quick as possible, but in a smart way, just not spending thousands of dollars or euros and making a lot of mistakes. That's not helping, but you want to analyze, I think, every setup that you do or every trade that you take in detail, and then learn the lessons, because every lessons that you take at first, you don't have to make it a second time. But what I see a lot that people do is that they just keep on making mistakes, and then they become patterns, and then they decrease their self-confidence in their trading, and they maybe quit. So yeah, and there's no first thing that I would start with for everyone.
Definitely. And talking about confidence, because that's definitely something a big aspect in trading psychology. Not only the confidence, but also overconfidence, to get overconfident and to make reckless decisions. So how do you think traders can maintain enough confidence and don't get too overconfident to basically take these reckless decisions?
Yeah, good question. Maybe there is a part that I would start with, because what I see a lot of starting traders and even experienced traders, but the focus is always so much only about P&L. And if you base your confidence on P&L, you're gonna be in trouble at some point. So what you want to do is focus on the process. What is the process that's depends on who you are and what you need to do in order to perform at your best. I think to answer your question, you want to know what are your own KPIs, your own key performance indicators, what are your own processes to focus on, and only focus on that and base your confidence on that process. If you do that, you will be way more steady. And then you can also have the shift, seeing for yourself and analyzing, hey, when am I confident and is it helping me? And when am I going into overconfidence, getting to cocky a little bit? What you're going to see is that you're not performing how to say, you're going to slack in your own processes. You're a bit less doing that. You're trusting too much on the outcome, and that's not going to help you.
Definitely. And was this also because, Max, we talked about it in the last episode, when you flipped, if I'm not mistaken, like 3K to 30K at the beginning of your trading career.
Yeah.
Was it certainly a moment of overconfidence when you basically blew the complete 30K account?
Great question. I think it's majority of the part you kind of put this imposter syndrome in yourself, and you think that you can do these things that you're not supposed to be doing, and then you kind of reach this bottleneck where you've done it once, right? You over risk a little bit and it goes well, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna reward myself. I'm the god. I can do all of this. I'm gonna be a millionaire within a year. And then it goes wrong. And then you realize, okay, hey, there's a reason why it went wrong. You're taking double damage if you're over risking. So you're overconfident in your trade. And then you're so like volatile with your emotions that you're not making any rational decisions anymore. So 100%, it was definitely overconfidence in that account blown. Yeah.
And what did you learn from that? Because right now you're basically managing like huge capital for the majority of people. It is like huge capital. Yeah. You're trading with equity funds. So what did you learn from that you couldn't really do different?
I think what Coen says, I resonate a lot with that as well, just detaching from your P&L, which is a lot easier said than done. But essentially, you want to understand that you are implementing some sort of edge, some sort of, pattern the whole time in your decision making, and whatever the outcome is, whether, it's 2 zeros, 3 zeros, 4 zeros behind the one, shouldn't really matter. Obviously, it's so much easier said than done. That's the biggest struggle that people have. But it is indeed the most important aspect. And what I learned the most from that was that, whatever happens, it can go away like this. But also, hey, what was the problem there? It wasn't the account size, it wasn't the money, it was just the skill, which I lacked, and my emotions, which I couldn't manage.
Makes sense. Is this also something you can resonate with, Bowie? Because you also, what you just mentioned, you struggle sometimes a little bit with psychology. When Max is saying like detach from P&L, of course it's easier said than it's done. But can you resonate with that?
Yeah. Whenever I'm focused on the money, of course, my decisions will reflect that. So whenever I just am aiming to pass that account or get a payout, obviously my decisions will make me do stupid things, and I'll start over trading, over risking. And then when I find myself just focusing not on that, not on the outcome, not on money, but instead on just maintaining good trading habits, maintaining just trying to build satisfaction from building good habits, that's what really helps me. And that way my decisions will show good results in the long term. Yeah.
And what are good trading habits in your opinion?
My good trading habits are, first of all, having a good routine outside of trading. I think that's the most important thing. I always see myself doing stupid things whenever I have a bad morning. I was not productive in the first half of the day. Good trading habits means also that you have your system in check. You only follow that. Those are kind of the habits that I think are really important.
Indeed, and it seems so simple that to mention just keep having good trading habits, but I assume you're struggling with it as well. So probably also with overconfidence. Did you also experience like a moment like Max had in your early days where you flipped an account to like huge amounts and you made a huge loss afterwards?
But it was with spot investment. I made a lot of money with a coin. But I didn't lost many of it, so I have still the most of it. But the problem is now I'm just buying 100k accounts like it's nothing and just blowing them all away. And now the last 2 months it's getting better. It's with just really good routine outside of trading, so I get a lot of help with that. But furthermore, I still lack with the psychology aspect of the trading, because last month I started really good. I just got only W's, and after that I just made one loss, and I thought, I'm not gonna trade forever. So then I just did stupid things. Didn't do good risk management. Didn't trade according to my plan. So
And can you guide me a little bit through what's going on in your mind during these situations? What are your thoughts in these situations?
Yeah, the first loss after that was like 4 trades in a row that were going fantastically 11 RR or something, and the first trade I lost, I thought, yeah, this is just according to my plan. Why isn't it working? But afterwards, in hindsight, you always think, yeah, it's just a game of chance. You can lose something what is just perfectly according to your plan. So, but in the moment, you don't think like that. So you just trade with your emotions. So, yeah, then your system is out of the window, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. What do you do in these situations, Max? Because I see you laughing, and I think
it's so relatable.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what makes it so beautiful. Is that like this is actually the real face of trading. Everyone posts out, the flashy lifestyle and everything, but no one actually digs deeper to who they are as a person. And name me one good trader that hasn't gone through this exact, road path, has deviated from their trading plan, because we're humans at the end of the day. We make these errors. It's part of them. Now it's on you to discipline yourself to learn from it and then come back. But what was your question? What do I do in these situations?
What do you do in these situations when you're like on a losing streak and your emotions are like taking over?
Yeah, I think the first aspect, and it sounds super cliche, is just knowing that you're acceptance, right? It sounds like we're in a different type of meeting here, but acceptance of your emotions, right? It's the name of the game. It's like, I'm now in, let's say, high emotions. I'm realizing the fact that you're in high emotions. That's like step one. And then for me, what works the best for me is actually just distracting myself from anything chart related. So like what Bowie, what you said, with just good routine outside of trading, anything along those lines, right? Something consistent. So to answer in a nutshell, what I do is just walk away from the situation. If I'm in a losing streak, realize, something flips. Okay, I'm in a losing streak. I've had 2, 3, 4 losses in a row. That could be hefty. It could be whatever risk percentage. If they're all according to your plan, that's fine. But the moment that you realize, that switch goes on and I'm in a losing streak, I'm deviating, or I'm about to deviate from my trading plan, that's when you just need to walk away. Pull the plug, take a breather, go outside, touch some grass, same vibes, and then come back when you've got clarity again.
Makes sense. And it seems so easy again, Coen, but why are so many traders struggling with these kind of situations?
Well, many reasons. Like I think many traders, people, they're just not prepared to lose, not prepared well enough for their day. So that's sometimes an easy fix, but most people can just prepare their day better, prepare their plan better. More on the negative side, like, okay, what's going to happen today? What if am I losing? How am I going to react towards that? That can be one answer. The difficult thing is, like, obviously, rationally, everyone knows what to do. You know how to follow your plan, not to overtrade, not to revenge trade, not all the mistakes that everyone knows. The tricky thing is that it's also like the casino mindset, or what you were saying, like you're over risking. That's your mistake, and then there you should be like, really, okay, I'm not happy with my performance on that subject, but it translates into a winner, and that sucks in the end, because by doing that you're deviating from your plan, getting more problems, and you're going to do it the next time. So you want to be really, really aware on your own emotions. I think, like what you were saying, if you're in a losing streak, or you're like, I keep an easy model, like just like what is it, the traffic light? If you're in the green, are you orange or are you red? Like obviously, if you're in the red, you're not able to perform. You have to step away, but there's a reason that you get into the red and that you're not able to perform anymore. So you have to know, like, okay, during the day, am I in the green? What is triggering me to get into orange? What is like slightly orange, little bit orange, when it's getting the dark orange, and when is it getting red? And what do you have to do to maintain your own state? So you can adjust way earlier, instead of waiting for everything going to not so nice results.
Makes sense. And what are your exact techniques, Bowie, to keep your emotions in check. Good trading habits, of course, but what are the exact techniques that you use to adhere to these things?
What I use to keep my emotions in check, I think it's first of all not understanding that you should trade like a robot. Like many people, they say like you should trade like a robot. You should not have any emotions. But I kind of disagree with that because we are humans. Like we need to have emotions. So we're not just gonna be AIs in a couple of years. We are still humans. So I think it's important to understand that you should observe your emotions and not just like ignore them. Because what you do then, if you observe your emotions, you'll know, okay. Because my way of thinking is your emotions are not you. So you can detach your emotions from yourself, and then you'll see that actually they're just like wind that's blowing through you, because you are yourself, that you are something that's just higher up, and your emotions are something that's just going through you, and you should just observe them, and that way you can understand, okay, what are they doing to me, and I think then you can overcome that. And
are you basically like write them down, or are you just thinking of it? Are you journaling on them, or what do you do exactly?
Yeah, I'm very heavy on journaling. So whenever my trading day is done, it's just a must. Like last year, I was just not treating it like it's important, but now journaling is like I must journal. If I don't journal and the next day I start trading the new session again, then I don't feel good. It's something I missed. So journaling, definitely. I just basically write down everything I was thinking during the whole day. That way I can reflect upon my emotions when I was in a trade, and just I try to write as much down as possible. It's not just like, oh, I followed my system. Good day. No, I'll literally just brain dump it, and I think that's what helps me a lot to then learn from it. Because then at the end of the week, I'll read everything, and then I'll soak every information from that week, and then I'll improve for the next week. So yeah.
Great, man. Great. Is also something you can resonate with. I see you.
This is very good to hear. Like this really brings joy to myself as well, just to see people actually practicing these things, because that's also the first thing that I kind of push towards people that come to me, like a couple of my students as well. First thing is do those end of day markups, right? And just brain dump as much as you can. Just in Dutch we have wie schrijft die blijft. So just keep writing everything down. Write down your feelings of the day. And it sounds so weird because you're like having this internal monologue with yourself, like, oh, during this trade I felt tense, or I felt stressed, or I felt very confident. I'm going to buy a Lamborghini tomorrow. It's going to be great. All these things, just write everything down, and then you can reassess. You create this feedback loop of yourself, and constantly you can kind of, with brick by brick, become better. So yeah, definitely resonate with it 100%. Sure.
And do you still sometimes get too overconfident, and you really are aware of, okay, hey Max, this is not going the right direction, I need to detach myself?
I can't lie about that, of course.
Yeah.
We will all get, especially I think those that are on more of a social media platform, and you kind of have this performance pressure, and it goes well, right? It boosts your ego, and you're performing in front of people, or to your community, or on the live stream and everything, and those go well. You're gonna feel a lot more confident than if you were doing that solo in front of your own screens. So you have those moments, and then it's very easy to realize, like, oh, wow, we're taking very aggressive trades, unnecessary trades again. Why? Because you feel super confident because you're on a hot streak, or you're getting lots of appraisal from your students, or from Instagram or whatever, and you're like, oh, shouldn't have done that, because it'll slap you twice as hard in the face.
Definitely. Can you still remember also the last time you were in such a situation where you became too overconfident?
Probably last week.
Yeah.
It's that's kind of the tainted space with social media, right? It's so easy to feel very good about yourself, or to sweep stuff under the rug because you don't show anything. If many people have a certain bias on, let's say, the asset that you trade, and you have a different bias and you end up being right, you're going to be like, oh, I duped everyone here, better than them, which really you're not.
Definitely.
Last week was a moment that you take a trade that someone else counter trade, and you're like, and then the next trade I'm like, I'm gonna counter trade again, because you're a little bit more confident, and that doesn't work so well. No.
I can understand, definitely. And talking about social media, Maurice, I assume that you also are active on social media. I see a lot of traders come through, including Max. How do you deal, for example, with all the stuff that is happening on social media? And is it creating for you a sense of like fear of missing out when you see all these successful traders seem to be successful traders on the socials?
Now that's the thing. I don't have Twitter for that reason, because a friend of mine, he's on Twitter, and he's just reading all of those traders who have biases and all of that, and it's just affecting his trading. So I don't have Twitter. I don't have a big social media platform, so I don't feel that influence on me. No. Only in the tribe, sometimes you have a trade and another trader has a counter trade, and you think, maybe he is.
Are you an analyst for tribe?
No, I'm just a trader in the
tribe. Yeah. And how do you kind of deal with, like, you know, you've got an open chat. You know, I've seen the open chat as well, and it can get hectic with many people saying obviously different things. You're obviously going to sometimes have someone that's going to like critique your chart. What's the first thing that then kind of pops up to your mind? If someone's like, I disagree with your bias.
It's always, I'm going to check if it's according to my system. So it's according to my system, he can have his critique. But if I make money of the trade, or the trade is a win, that's fine. He has his critique, but it's not influencing me. No,
that's good. Because what I notice a lot is, let's say you have an idea, right? And you feel super good, and someone comes up to your idea and it's like, I completely disagree with that. There are one of two things can happen, right? You know, either you win that idea and you feel very good about it, and you're going to kind of like nudge the guy down, like, haha, look what happened. Or the other way around is if you end up getting like a stop loss from whatever trade idea and they were right, you're going to have like this permanent guy on you the whole time telling you, you can't trade or anything. What's kind of, you stick to a system, but does that kind of affect you somewhat?
Yeah, what you told a few months back, that you counter trade a person, and that trade was a winner, and the next time you counter trade him again. I have that the same feeling when sometimes someone comes to critique me and it's a winner, and next time I trade, it's also a winner, and he has also his critiques on that trade. Yeah. I almost get how do you call it, angry, like, you are criticizing my trade and it's a winner, so why are you criticizing me? So that's the thing. But lately I just realized that fault of just, how do you call it, I realized that he is criticizing me, and I realized I'm getting angry. Yeah. And so I realized that I'm getting angry. So I know I don't have to be angry, because his critique is maybe like very good, but I'm just trading according to my system. So nice. Yeah, that's not a big deal. No.
Yeah. But yeah, good. No social media, less.
Definitely. I think that's definitely also something you would advise, right, Coen? Be as less active on social media.
I think you have to do it in an intelligent way, because obviously you join a tribe or a group, Discord, whatever it is, in order to learn something. So if you join something and you don't learn anything, that shouldn't be good. But most of the time it just triggers a lot of problems, a lot of emotions, and therefore you're going to trade, which is not the point. It should be about learning. So you can better just say, okay, this is my system, I'm going to do it for this week, for this month, and then see in the Discord, okay, I'm going to show my trade, and let's critique it, and then see for yourself, like, what can you take away from it. Maybe there are some good points and it's super valid, but not when you're trading. It's a lot triggers too many emotional points from the most people.
Yeah, definitely. And talk about like criticism, social media combined. I think you also have like a huge following on Instagram. You probably also receive not only like positive comments, but also maybe a lot of negative comments in the comments on your reels.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? Because that's also something that can definitely affect you, of course.
Well, yeah, it kind of goes two ways, because in one way it really helps me to just stay accountable and just don't do stupid stuff, even though I still do it. But it just helps me because whenever I mess up, and I'm just as transparent as possible, so I'll post it on Instagram. I don't really care. I've gone through that, so it really just helps me for the accountability part. But also it is tough because a lot of people, they will say, "Oh, just switch system, try to trade with RSI, this and that," and I'll just like I'll just be like, "No, I know I have my system. I know what to do. I just try to not look at these comments." But people also try to think is that once you have your system, you're like fully in check and you're set for life. But that's like the opposite in my opinion, because I have everything I need. I know my strategy works. I know that it just can yield a nice return over a long period of time. But the hardest thing is actually doing it over and over again, right? You're at the step where you have already your technical analysis in check, but that's when it just starts. Also, a lot of people, they think your first payout from there is just going to go easy. No, that's where it starts. So that's really, something that's a misunderstanding in this space, is that you should understand that it's the hardest thing to just keep going and do what a trader should do every single day.
Yeah, definitely. And indeed, that's definitely the moment where it starts and you feel that it's starting. And I think you, Max, I know you value like trading psychology a lot, and you basically walked the path that many traders want to walk. What was the aha moment in terms of trading psychology? What was the moment that also Bowie says was like, there it's starting? When did you feel that?
I think obviously there's that moment where you make your first monetary gains from trading. That's, I think, the biggest achievement. It's like, because it takes a long time, let's be completely honest. For me, it's like 2 years and you're like, not getting anything from it. And then it's that first, okay, you can gain something from this. And then it's the big, I can prove everyone wrong. Like, I can make this my job and I can do this full time.
That seems to be your topic, man.
Yeah.
You're just in it to prove other people's wrong.
Yeah.
And that can maybe be your motivation, but also be your triggers in order to make mistakes.
I mean, in essence, look, you deal with a certain aspect, especially in this game, right? It's a very tainted space, and often enough, whatever surrounding, I never really had, let's say, the most, like, society as a whole kind of looks down on trading. Your school, you're 18, you're supposed to go to university, but you ended up trading. It's not really the most positive, right, input. So would it be my life goal to prove everyone wrong? Not necessarily, but there's obviously an aspect where it clicks after, you've done something where you have lots of naysayers on your back. But to kind of dial back in, let's say, that entire route, what was the aha moment for psychology was really, when you realize that, I think you explained it so perfectly, that your emotions are something that kind of happens outside of you, and it's like this wind that kind of blows through you. Yeah, the moment that you realize that you can think like that is, for me, the biggest moment in psychology. The moment that you can realize that, I'm managing my emotions, I'm managing a trading account, and I'm managing me as an individual with that trading account. That's the biggest click moment, instead of I'm just clicking buttons based off of something.
And did it also change for you when you initially started with trading like small capital, and right now you're trading with like basically hedge funds? Call it what you want, but is there something changing also in terms of your trading psychology if you see these huge numbers in your screen in comparison to what it was?
You're not going to deny the fact that obviously you're realizing that there's bigger stuff on the line when you look at your phone or you look at your trading terminal. You're like, that's interesting. You start comparing that to materialistic objects or, people's wages, and you're like, okay, cool. That's kind of scary when you go and draw down these numbers. But it's you got to get used to that. It doesn't happen overnight. The first time you see that, you're like, oof. You're on your phone and you're like, okay, rather not put that down. You're like, okay, you realize that with a hedge fund, let's say you execute on a master account and it gets connected to the portfolio account, and then you can log into the portfolio account. You click 10 lots on your MetaTrade on your account, and it ends up being like, 150 on the portfolio, and you're like, that's what's the damage, the collateral behind your position. And it's tough. It's tough to kind of get used to those numbers, but with time, just like with everything, I guess.
And indeed, and after in comparison to like the successful trades, those are also like bigger than what it was? How do you stay grounded after these like massive successes?
It's fear versus greed, right? It's the classic yin and yang. You know, when it's big numbers in the red, you're very scary, and when it's big numbers in the plus, you want to pull them out as soon as possible because you've never seen these numbers before. You're like, oh, crazy. So again, detach. You know, try to go away from your charts, and it goes in line with what everyone's saying here. So I'm a huge fan of that. Just the moment that you realize that these feelings are coming up, that's the moment that you had a plan before you place the trade. Either it's going to work or it's not, right? And now you're letting your emotions come into the trade, and that's the moment that you should just kind of walk away from your phone, your screen, whatever, and just unplug.
Interesting, definitely interesting. And Coen, I saw you maybe got triggered by kind of the motivation of Max to prove someone wrong. What do you think of that? And do you think if that's a good or bad motivation or whatsoever?
It depends. Like it's a boring answer, but it depends. Like I think it can be a motivation, but if you're trading because you want to prove something and that's the reason why you're going to trade, that's not the. Yeah. I mean, the market doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like between your battle and the other guy in the group, so that's not the valid, rational reason to place a trade. And you just want to, like, emotions, I agree, are not the problem. You're not like a robot, what Bowie said. They're gonna get triggered. Sometimes it's good to just remove the triggers, and then you don't have to deal with it. But we're still human. You're going to get triggered, whatever the reason is. But yeah, the mindfulness way of looking at it is a good one, that you can observe your emotions. Know, okay, I know this one. I know what I would add to the journaling, and getting the emotions. Not just every emotion is a bad thing, but like listening or asking the question to yourself, like, what is this emotion telling me? Because many times I do an analysis with someone and they're saying, yeah, I'm really having a lot of doubt. Like, so what is the doubt? Yeah, I don't know my system well enough. Okay, then go fix that.
Yep.
Because it's a fixable thing.
Yep.
Or do your preparation better. The emotion wants to tell you something. There is doubt because of a good reason. If you're just going, oh, I have doubt and I'm going to walk away from the screen, yeah, then you're not trading a lot. You want to know, like, okay, what is the emotion telling me? Sometimes you will be really scared if you're trading with a lot of capital. Yeah, it's normal that you feel a lot of emotion, but if you can think like, okay, this is just because of the money, and what I'm like telling myself the money is, like, I see, oh, it can be like 30K, it can be a yearly salary for some people. That's the definition you're going to give that money, and that's triggering the emotions. You just want to get to know that from yourself.
But doesn't it basically all comes down to like acceptance? So accept that you having doubt, because everybody has doubt. There's always doubt, whether you're like the best performer in the world, or if you're just a beginning trader, there's always doubt. But does it not come down to like basically accept that there always is doubt?
It depends in that way, that if you have doubt and you can do something about it, you can get the doubt away, then you can do it. I think like the top performers, they still have anxiety, performance pressure and that stuff, and you have to accept some part of it. Yeah,
definitely. And do you experience that as well, Bowie? Like moments of anxiety, doubt, where you will you're good enough to become a consistently profitable trader. You start racking up those payouts. Is it something that's going on a daily basis, or is it already a little bit out of your system?
I don't really have doubts anymore that my system is not working. It's just that I need to fix the emotions that are popping up whenever I take a trade. The only doubt the only doubt that I have is basically just me not being able to have the right psychology when I'm sitting in front of my chart. So I think that's the only thing, and just the psychology. This is a perfect podcast for this to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. And does it help to have somebody that holds you accountable, like a coach, like a mentor, like Max, like a coach, like Coen?
Yeah. I think that's the best thing that you could do if you're just starting out. Also, just surrounding yourself with people that are already at the level that you want to be at. I think that's just a way that you can speed up the process. A lot of people nowadays, they are skeptical about courses, about everything you see online. Everything is like, oh, he's just trying to sell you a dream. But if you just do your due diligence and you check if those traders that are posting online on social media are actually legit, it's not hard. Like, you can see who's a scammer or not. When you then find people that are actually legit and they offer a course, I will be happy to pay for it, because I know these guys are legit and they already have been through a lot of things that you can learn from. And having those mentors, I think it's important, because you can basically rely upon them if you're having those tough times. And yeah, also I have a little accountability partner where I just chat with every single day. I think that's really something that helps me if they trade like the exact same system. Otherwise, you're gonna mess up, because you don't want to intertwine with different systems.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's also something you invest in a lot with your mentees.
Yeah, for sure. We literally started doing this like 3 weeks back. Mindset mastery days, and you just get together and you take 1 hour of your day to kind of just go through what everyone's been feeling, and we take then, let's say, one student at a time to kind of jot down a bullet list of their recent trades. All the trades they take are public as well, so I can see what went well, what went wrong, and then they journal that in their own little legacy section, and then we put them on a pedestal to kind of dissect what they did that week. And it sounds super cliche because you're just like talking about your feelings the whole time, but it's super important. Like, it's super underrated in my opinion, and I think that helps a lot. So
is it also aspect? Definitely. And this is something you do in exact same way as you teach your mentees? Yeah. What's your journey look like on a very practical way, so that listeners really can have someone at these practical tips?
My journey or my journal?
Journal.
My journal, I use, we've been through, let's say, Notion, Obsidian, all these different applications that you can journal on. I've now literally just went to pen and paper, super nice. Just get one of those moleskin books, and you go in depth and just write your little date at the top left. And it's a diary for me. It's more diary format, and it sounds like super lame. It's like, oh, dear journal, today I felt bad. But that's how it works. That's what helps for me. I journal my day. If I take a trade that day, I'll go in depth. I'll try to jot down the dates as well. So if I take a trade, I'll go to my journal, like what I teach my students as well. They note the time of the day, their feelings, and the idea, and then 30 minutes after, an hour after, 2 hours after, if you're still in the trade, how do you feel? Every single timestamp, you try to annotate that. And then EOD markups, like what Bowie said as well, super important. Before you go to bed, brain dump everything, and then recap in the weekend.
Yeah, interesting. And is it something you're already doing, Maurice?
Yeah, I'm in journaling for about 3 months now.
Nice.
I have two types. The one type is just the trading related. So what was the trade? What was the win? What entry points? And a picture of the graph, of the chart. And the other one is just what you said, just brain dumping, and it's in the form of voice memos. So I just record myself when I'm talking.
Interesting.
I like that too.
That's smart.
Yeah.
And and that's in general, just life in general. I just talk about it in the voice memos, and a part of it is also trading. So how I feel, how I'm improving in trading. So yeah, that really helps. Yeah.
And when do you listen to that back?
Sometimes sometimes when I'm in my feelings, I'm listening to them.
Nice.
But I have to, maybe what Bowie said, maybe check up, or what you said was just check up in the weekends. Just listen to the voice memos, and that way you can improve some more. Yeah.
How long are these voice memos? How long are you like having this?
Yeah, it depends on how life's going, but maybe just. Yeah, I think 3 to 5 minutes,
nice.
Something like that. Maybe sometimes it's a whole story, so I'm just yapping like 15 minutes. But yeah, it really helps just to keep emotions in place.
That's sick.
In general, and in trading it's other story. But yeah,
cool.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely interesting indeed. And how do you like advise your students to journal? Is it also with voice memos or basically just writing?
I have asked people to record themselves during trading. Because you get the feedback in, sometimes it just helps to literally see and hear yourself like what you're doing, and then you think, okay, that's a stupid way to do anything, and that can help some accountability for yourself. I want them to analyze every trade, even if it's a good trade or a bad trade, but just dive really deep into the feelings. So it's feelings. It's about feelings. It's about thoughts. It's about beliefs that you have about yourself. To ask deeper, like where do those things coming from? Are they helping me? What are different ways of talking to myself? Looking at the same thing. Journaling is good and it's fun, but if you're keeping a journal for 30 days and you're never doing anything with it, that's not the point. Then you're just knowing what you're doing wrong.
And what do you need to do with it?
To look in the mirror and to see like, okay, what is this helping me with performing? Like, for example, if you every time you see that you're really anxious during the trades and it's because you don't want to make any mistakes because you're really perfectionistic, what a lot of people have, then you can keep going and trading and doing it on willpower and knowing it from yourself, like this is not helping, but you have to figure out something for yourself. Where is this perfectionism coming from? Most of the time it's because you don't want to deal with mistakes, you're doing everything perfectly and it's costing you a lot. Dealing with losses, you're going to revenge trade, overtrade or not trading, because every trade has to be the perfect setup and it doesn't always exist. So that's the thing that you want to work on for yourself and to fix that, so to speak, and then you can move on.
Is this also, in your opinion, the determining factor between professional good traders and unprofessional, like bad performing traders?
Like every really good trader I know of is really looking at all the aspects of his life and also a lot about the psychology. So I like also how we're talking about it. Like the best traders, they know themselves really well. They know exactly what their triggers are. They know how to have their best preparation, what gets them in the right mindset to trade, when to stop, when to ask questions to someone else, when to switch from their strategy. They just know a lot from experience, but really from themselves, like how can they perform and execute their strategies as good as possible.
Interesting indeed. And Max, I'd like to ask you something about the in our previous podcast we talked about the AFM, FCA like exam you had to do, and they also like tested you on psychology aspects. Do they also ask you to journal on your trades and that kind of stuff? What's it about in terms of the exam?
It's so with FCA, the biggest aspect is the whole compliance factor that you have to do. And with whatever provider or whoever's going to back you in terms of liquidity is going to ask for some sort of journal. So in that sim situation, so where you get, and based off of your technicals, you get tested off that, you also just journal pretty much every trade you take. And it's there, it's a very easy input is output. You can see exactly where you're going wrong based off of, the amount of ticks that you've either made or, lost that day. So they definitely ask you to keep track of that, and you are very much, let's say, on a call. So a mate of mine, Bram, that's now very heavy in futures, but he was also trading DMA and still is trading DMA. He's on the call with, let's say, so he's an apprentice. So his mentor, in that sense, that also has direct market access, they're on, it's so funny to see, they're on like teams for the whole day, and they're just checking in with each other the whole time. Every trade that you take, it's like having an accountability partner. So they're very much on what you're doing, and everything that you do outside of trading as well, very much in line with your routine, your psychology, what you do, do you do any crazy activities? Do you go out often? They check those things as well. It just needs to fit in their box. Mm-hmm. So everything's checked.
And is there a good or bad in their eyes?
like, you know, at the end of the day, you meet reckless traders, and, you know, they obviously notice with a couple of my trades that I'm a little bit more aggressive than others, and they'll, you know, put you under the thumb for that. So it's not good or bad. You know, they scout you for a reason, and you go through this sim because you can make performance. So that's what they want. So they will kind of bend you in the way that they seek best fit for their firm. So, you know, if you're not at that process, you know, you're not good enough to be there. So you can't fall off from there. So they'll more just kind of put you into their mold of, this is going to be the best way to put them under, you know, our firm, and we want to see him trade 50 trades a day on the 1 minute, or do we want to see him do one trade every so often and put a lot more margin on his positions, and that'll kind of fix itself.
But is there still like a possibility to make like these reckless decisions, or did they basically like filter that out with the systems they have in place?
There's enough filters and software, fortunately, that you can't just fat thumb the entire portfolio in one go. So that's very, very fortunate. Otherwise, it'd be very, very dangerous for guys to be able to slip up. You know, you got your MetaTrader on and you put it in your pocket, and suddenly you're in 5 positions. You're like, oh, shouldn't have done that.
Makes sense.
Or, you know, you put the wrong lot size. There's definitely lots of filters.
Okay. Yeah. And talking about like reckless decisions, Bowie, can you guide me a little bit through like what was in your eyes the most reckless decision you made, and what the psychology in your mind was at that moment? What caused it?
Seems like you already know a story. I think, some reckless decisions I made. Funny because we're going to talk about BrightFunded, because I was funded on BrightFunded last year, back in the days when I was still trading Forex. And I think one decision I made there was, just now looking back at it, it was just stupid. So basically, I got funded with BrightFunded. I made about 2K on my account. So on the 50K, that was like 4%. It was a nice profit. So I thought like, okay, let's do a payout, right? Before I requested the payout, I made a video on Instagram, and I basically told my audience about, man, I've been documenting my journey this whole time. Now is the time to finally request my first payout. And everyone was like congratulating me. They were like, oh, let's go. I see that you can do it. You've been there from the start. And yeah, you can already see it coming. But the next day, I just wanted a little bit more out of the payout. So I fell back into bad habits, and I blew the account. And then funny enough, I made another video. There were 2 videos next to each other. And the next video was like, sorry guys, I said I was gonna request the payout. I didn't. And then people in my comments were like, what? How could you do this? And then, yeah, I mean, that's really a big reckless decision that I made back then. Just don't make yourself already, make your mind think that you're already there. Because by posting that on social media, I was like telling my mind that I already got the payout. I was already like calculating the numbers on my bank account, but I didn't have it. So yeah, I think that's a big thing taking with me in the future. If I say that I'm going to do something, I need to do it as soon as possible, and not let other people know, because then my mind thinks that I'm already there, but I'm not, right?
Definitely. And look, what's causing these moments of overconfidence? Because I think it triggers you, these moments. That's exactly why you like assist traders in their journey. What's causing these moments in terms of psychology in the mind?
What do you mean? Like what?
Like what's causing? Because it seems to be so easy that hey boy, just request the payout. You're like 1 day off the payout date. But what's causing the trigger that he still placed the trade the day after with a lot more risk and basically blew the account?
Crazy.
Yeah, it was really stupid, man. No,
that's it. I have to. Okay, we're gonna.
It's my coaching all the time. No, no. When I hear your story, I think it can be. Obviously, it's a little bit greed and what you think about, like, okay, if I have a little bit more, then what are the results because of that, which makes you deviate from your plan. Also, that you seem to say, like, in the morning, it wasn't really the best routines. You didn't do the routines or the process that you wanted to do. So, yeah, that was the moment to stop trading or to just request a payout. But, yeah, that doesn't happen. What also can happen, and it's... is that you're unconsciously, mentally getting a lot of approval and attention from the Instagram, right? So you're posting that. So on the one hand, you're getting more attention by uploading 2 videos and creating a lot of mess around that, and it's getting one reward over here and the other reward over there. So that's happening in your brain, or might be happening in your brain.
Yeah,
at that moment.
And like you said, I think it's also because I didn't really deserve it at the time. Because you said maybe your routine was not good in the morning. That was the case.
But that's a nice one, because every trade in the end, it's about your own beliefs. And if your beliefs don't match with what the result is, you don't think like you deserve that belief, you're going to self-sabotage in some way. Yeah. And this was a nice experience.
Example.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, I needed it. It's like otherwise I wouldn't.
It was a valuable lesson.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, like why you're on your journey. Why don't you think you deserved the payout, right?
Yeah, it's because I know I was doing things that a profitable trader or consistently profitable trader is doing. I know that my routine was not the best. I know that I was maybe a little bit over risking on those trades when I was in profit on that account. So it's like a little, I don't know, I don't deserve it in my opinion. So yeah, I think it just was something that needed to happen. Otherwise, I would not be at the place I'm at right now. So yeah.
And it didn't happen afterward.
Afterwards, I mean, I'm still documenting my journey, right? So I'll be posting all my mistakes and lessons. And people think that you will learn from your mistakes the first time you make them. I disagree. Like in my opinion, from my experience, at least, you need to be sick and tired of your mistakes, and that's only when you will learn. Because a lot of people, they comment like, "Yeah, but you did make that mistake last time, right? So why don't you just not make it again, right?" And it's because,
that's it. Yeah. That's how humans are programmed, of course. Definitely. Yeah. Interesting. And I'm also pretty curious about your most reckless decision, Max. Can you still remember that? And what caused that decision?
Most reckless was the guys at the floor. They found this the funniest story ever. It was on direct market access. We were, in that sim phase. NFP on a Friday. You can already hear this story, but it went well. But they then were like, we never want to see that ever again. But yeah, very, very, you're up for the week, right? You're up a certain amount of ticks, or up a certain amount of P&L, whatever, and you're like, oh, I've got a little bit of buffer to play with. And we're all like these gambling fiends. Sometimes you see this news event and you're like, oh, red folder news, it's going to cause volatility, and I've done my market research, I've looked up my economic calendar, I can predict this one. I did. Hindsight, I did, right? Cool. But you're never going to predict that much of a move, or you're not a quant. At the end of the day, we're all retail low touch traders. Neither are we trading high frequency. We're not an Optiver. We're not a flow or anything. But most reckless decision was pretty much full porting on NFP on a Friday on DMA. That was not the smartest. No.
Why did you do that? Because you never did that. So why did you do that?
Like Coen said, I got to put the mirror in. Nothing changes. So I put the mirror. I look at myself. I'm like, why did I do that? It's like that one meme that you see on the internet where he's pointing the finger at himself the whole time. That's pretty much during those situations that you don't know. Like, why did I do that? Probably because you can go back, and this is where you have coaches like Coen probably and people that can really help you dissect this mindset, and it can go a lot deeper. You can go into counseling sessions, you can go into therapy, and you can go into like, oh, where does it root from, which is great to do, in my opinion, to just kind of like talk about these emotions, like, hey, is there something that happened, but where did this come from? No, I think this was just pure the FOMO of that event, and you start calculating, like what you said, the potential stuff that you can see hit your bank account. You're like, ooh, yeah, red folder news is going to happen.
Dangerous.
NFP, it's great. You predicted it, and you're like, oh, if I put this much in, I can get that much out. And you're like, with that money, I can do. And you click the button. You're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, definitely. And how do you like evaluate these moments with your clients? Good.
Yeah, I've on a very practical level, just know the first steps and what are the first thoughts. When do you need to tackle yourself and go do something else? In your case, that's something you want to be mindful of.
Yeah.
But yeah, also on a deeper level, like what is it? Why are you doing this? I mean, if it's a one-time thing, thinking of a story, like I used to work with a pro trader, full-time trader. He did for months, he did everything perfect, and then one colleague was away, and he decided to, they asked like, okay, I'm going to enter your trade. So okay, why would you do that? Yeah, because he was on holiday. But the thing was that he entered the trade, but when he lost, he should have paid all the money back. So it was on his account, and when he won, it was on the other guy's account. So it was a lose for him, or maybe a win for the other one. That's a one thing time, and that's just, don't do this ever again. It doesn't make sense to analyze that. But if you're making the mistake a lot of times, then you have to know for yourself, like exactly why are you making it? Because there is a reason. You just don't know it.
Yeah.
Definitely makes sense indeed. And for you, Maurice, also curious about what you consider as the most reckless decision you've ever made, and how psychology played its role in that decision.
I think I was 100k funded, and I was up 5k or something, and then you have to cash out, but I didn't. So, like Max, you are calculating your stuff that you're gonna buy with the money, and yeah, that's not a solution for that. You have to cash out at that moment, but I didn't, and it went to break even, and then I just traded the account to breach. So yeah, it's and that mentally affected me deeply. So the next month, all the trades were just shit. Yeah. And that's often what you hear when someone's deviating from a system, and it goes to shit, and the following trades are just not gonna be great because it's just involving you mentally. Yeah,
this P&L focus is like
that's
so many traders up.
And I'm really now a little bit off that, so. The money doesn't affect me because I work a lot next to trading, so I have money, so I don't do it for the money. But now it's just really focusing on different mentally errors that I come up with. So yeah, that's just.
I think the moments when it hurts more that you deviate from your own plan, or your not only your technical plan but your whole plan for what you have to do. If that hurts more to deviate from that than the actual profit and loss that you're going to make, then you're on a good path.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the real problem with that. Yeah,
definitely interesting indeed. And you mentioned, Coen, that like basically a lot of traders are just focusing on P&L. That's fucking them up. How do you do that, Max? Because you are trading with like huge amounts. Do you still like focus on the P&L, or how do you manage that?
I mean, you obviously get to a point that you kind of get used to all of that. But at the end of the day, you know, the bigger the capital, it's profit splits, and just like with every percentage, you know, it gets to a point that you don't really want to put that accountability or that collateral between your decision making. So the best idea is actually just not look, or just pretty much not do those calculations. I mean, for me, it's the hardest thing, where you realize, okay, hey, because it fluctuates, right? With trading, it's not consistent. That's kind of the biggest issue, is that there is so much upward potential, right? That's the issue. Yeah. The biggest issue with trading is that you see this opportunity, which is super low barrier to entry, whether it's, you know, trading private capital, or, you know, you see these markets with people doing leverage trades and all that good stuff. It's it's meant to fail. As like a human, it's meant to test you. The psychology you bring to trading at the start is flawed regardless, right? So you're like, oh, all I see is the sky, you know, it's the limit. I can make so much from this and that. So realizing that is the thing that, you know, is the common denominator in most of your flaws is for me the biggest, hey, realize moment. Okay, I'm going to pull the plug there. That's it. Try to not let my decision making be influenced by the potential returns, in short. Yeah.
Makes sense indeed. All right, gents. I think we can talk for hours about trading psychology, and we definitely are going to do in next episodes. But we're, I think, a little over 1 hour in. I'd like to do one final round, starting with Bowie. Bowie, can you tell like the listeners what would be your main advice looking at like psychology in trading that you learned from your journey and that you learned from the way that brought you at the point where you currently are?
Yeah, I would say what everyone would say is be not focused on the money, of course. If you think about it in a bigger picture, like the money, it literally doesn't have anything to do with trading. You should detach from it, because when you're following your habits, when you stick to your system, that's what will eventually get you the money. So if you don't think about money, that's when money will flow and will come to your account. And definitely just focusing on building good habits, on sticking to your system. I think that's the main thing that you should do. Also, a little tip that I maybe want to end with, what I do now in journaling that really helps me with my psychology is, instead of just marking your days as red or green based on your P&L, I'll mark them red and green based on my decision making.
Nice.
So whenever I have a red day in terms of P&L, that can still be a winning day, because I followed my system. I was focused on building good habits. I was focused on doing the right things. And then people will say like, oh, but why did you mark it as a red day if you made money? It's because I didn't deserve it. Next day I might blow it all away, because I will take that to meet the next day, because the last day I was thinking, okay, I'm doing this and I made money, so the next day I'm gonna do the same thing again and I'm gonna make money. No, that's not how we should do it, because making money doesn't mean that you followed your good habits. So I would say definitely marking my days based off decision making is like a big tip that helps me now stay on the right path in terms of psychology.
Nice. I think I saw that on your Twitter or your Instagram that you had with your new funded account, that you had like pretty huge day. Yeah. And it was still a red day. It was your most profitable day of the month or so, and it was still a red day.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Why was it a red day?
Because I mean, you said it already. Like, I made a huge profit, and if you're focused on managing your risk, you should not make a huge profit if it's not like a big risk to reward. Like, I aim for 2-3 R. I can like take partials later on, but it will never be like a huge winner unless I'm like over risking. So yeah, that's really you already answered it yourself. It's like I made so much money and I marked it as a red day because I journaled the day then that I made the profit, and I realized, oh, but yeah, I was over risking. I didn't follow my system. I didn't have conviction in the setup that I was trading. So yeah, I'll mark it as a red day.
Definitely. And it is very important in these cases that you are very honest with yourself, because I think most of the traders, maybe 99% of the traders, would mark it as a green day because it was like a huge profit. Yeah. But if you are very honest with yourself, like you are, you really come down to if it really was a good day or a bad day. So that's actually pretty unique, and I think very important. Great, man. Thanks. For you, Coen, what do you see as like the biggest lesson that you see that traders get from their journey into like being consistently profitable? Because you talk to so much traders. What is the aha moment usually with them in terms of trading psychology that bring them to the point they want to be?
The moment that they know, like, okay, if I'm doing this and doing like having my own KPIs, doing them consistently will bring me the P&L in the end. And if you know that for yourself, what are your topics, like what are your beliefs, what are the things that you have to work on, some teams, some practical stuff like journaling or just going walks outside or sporting, like it can be 5 to 10 things that you have to consistently do in order to get that P&L in the end. But if you know that, it also gives you the confidence, like if I keep on doing this and keep on improving on that part, then it in the end will lead to the good P&L. Not every month, of course, because you have the market and yourself in between. But that's the moment, if you know that for yourself, that you will get there.
Definitely.
And it shifts the focus again off from P&L, which is the common.
That's something that's coming back very often.
A little bit.
Thanks, man. Very nice. Very nice. What about you, Maurice? I think you're still learning, of course, and everybody's still learning. Nobody is stopped learning along the way. But what was for you like the most valuable lesson in terms of trading psychology that you learned from your journey until now?
I think the thing that everybody makes mistakes, but it's the way you realize that you're making mistakes and knowing the fact that you can fix it. So those errors that you're making doesn't mean that you're not a good trader or something. So that's really the thing I'm focusing at, that I'm capable of fixing those mistakes, so I can really just get my head together and trade like my system. Yeah.
Great, man. Thanks. Final call was again for you, Max. The most valuable lesson. You're like a little more advanced than, for example, Maurice and Bowie, already in for quite a long period. What was for you like the most valuable lesson you learned?
In psychology?
Yes.
It would be, I think, what we've been talking about. I think the most, it's that concept with holding that mirror in front of you. That very cliche quote, nothing changes if nothing changes. Mm-hmm. We've heard that one, I think, one too many times. Where, you feedback loop on yourself. Just know what you're doing wrong and actually do something about it. Like if you keep journaling for 30 days indeed and you don't do anything about it, you're just like what you said was very, very good. You're just looking at what you're doing wrong instead of actually applying something to that. So
indeed. But you can journal, of course, but
take action. Yeah.
Indeed, but it's also very important, but I also told to Bowie that you really be honest, because everybody can journal, but not everybody can journal in a very honest way. So isn't it also important to get someone that holds you accountable, whether it's a coach, it's a mentor, or
100%.
Whatever person?
Because otherwise it's like grading your own homework. You can always give yourself,
Indeed.
an A+. You're
That's
like,
it.
okay, cool. Today was a good day. You like give yourself a little stamp. Yeah, that's not how it works. You want someone accountability to hold you accountable for your actions.
In a very critical way.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, and it can be people like I've started. Small tip. I even have like my cousin that I sent my stuff to, and I was like, hey, and he has zero knowledge of the trading space, but he's like, yeah, no, cool, and he's like, this doesn't sound like you. I was like, yeah, you're right. I kind of put feathers here and there to kind of sugarcoat myself. So anyone can help as an accountability partner for sure.
Interesting. Thanks, Jens, for being here today. I think we had a very nice and interesting discussion about trading psychology. As I said, we can talk about it for hours, and we're going to do that in the next episodes as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I want to thank you for your valuable insights and knowledge you shared. Yeah. And I want to thank you for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed it as well. Got some very valuable insights. And as always, we see each other at the next one.